I'm Jack Bordick, and today I'll be presenting on the Standing Bodhisattva, which is an art piece from the Northern Qi dynasty of China, and how it relates to some of the intercultural exchange of ideas and goods that religion can help facilitate. So we're going to start off by introducing the piece, reminding us of what a bodhisattva is, and then we'll delve into some of the historical context surrounding the piece. And then we'll get into some of the cultural clues like pearls, the Bodhisattva's jewelry, as well as the Sintamani stone, which we'll get into a little bit later, and then just giving some final thoughts. So let's refresh our memory a little bit. What is a Bodhisattva exactly? So Bodhisattva comes from two different Sanskrit words, Bodhi, which means enlightenment, and sattva, which means being or entity. So it's any sort of being or entity that is further along in its enlightenment path than humans, but it is not to be confused with a Buddha. A Buddha has reached enlightenment, but a Bodhisattva has not. So it's just anything further along than humans in its path to enlightenment. So now we have the man of the hour, the standing Bodhisattva. So this is a piece of art found in the Zhangtangshan caves of the Northern Qi dynasty of China. And it basically just depicts a bodhisattva, which is holding a Sintamani stone, which we'll get into a little bit later, but it's the thing in its hands. And this, what is so special about this piece is it gives context into the exchange of both goods and ideas throughout Asia. So we'll be seeing how it sort of relates to the Indianization of the Northern Key. So first, before we get into that, let's get some historical context of Zhangtangshan. So Zhangtangshan is a cave system in the Northern Key area that is the birthplace of many early Buddhist arts, and sutras. And it is located in the modern-day Hebei province of China, which was during the Northern Qi dynasty, which was from 450 to 477. Sadly, looters and so-called archaeologists during the 19th century, when the caves were popularized among Europeans, pillaged and destroyed and dispersed much of the art in the caves, which is why the Standing Bodhisattva is not in Zhangtangshan and is rather here in DC. This is just a visualization of what Zhangtangshan looks like. This is the outside of the southern caves, as well as some of the pieces that remain in the caves. You can see on the left, like a destroyed piece that looks like it was pillaged. The head was taken somewhere. And yeah, very sad. And so here we have the Northern Qi. So the Northern Qi were a dynasty that came to be from 550 to 577. It was founded by Emperor Gao Yang. It was a very short-lived empire, and it was quickly conquered by its opposition to the Northern Zhao Empire. However, what was so special about the Northern Qi is how they were a profoundly Buddhist society. They were not scared to be Buddhist, and they displayed things like the Zhangtangshan caves prominently, and Buddhism was a part of their culture, which as opposed to the Northern Zhao, who were heavily opposed to Buddhism. And because of this, they were a very Indian influenced society. So we're going to get into how their art, more specifically the Standing Bodhisattva, was influenced by India. So this is our first cultural clue right here. So I want you to take a look more specifically at the top half of the Bodhisattva's necklace here. So we can make out what appeared to be and what most people estimate to be pearls, those beads at the top. So you can see the pearls in the necklace on the top, as well as a pearl encrusted sort of encroachment surrounding the gemstone. And the bottom half appears to be a patterned necklace, but we're not going to worry about that. What we are worried about are the pearls. So these pearls actually tell a larger story. So they're indicative of a larger maritime trade route, which goes from Java, which is in Indo, it's a region in Indonesia, and it goes all the way up to India. And then actually these pearls were smuggled from India into China because at the time there were very high taxes on outside goods. There were tariffs on things like pearls. So they were smuggled all the way through China, east, all the way to the Northern Key, which is surprising because Japan was actually famous for pearls at the time, but the Northern Key wanted everything India, and so their pearls and jewelry were exported from India. And this just sort of shows how Buddhism united cultures and spurred trade. Then we have the Sintamani stone. So the Sintamani stone was revered by Buddhists for having wish-fulfilling properties. However, Chinese and more Far Eastern Buddhists kind of took a different approach to this. Whereas the stone was literally revered by Indian Buddhists on a more literal scale, like they really did believe in the wish-fulfilling properties. It was more used in Far Eastern and Chinese art to show a reverence effect. So it wasn't particularly focused on the power of the stone. It was more like the aura that the stone gave the Bodhisattvas and Buddhas that had it. It just showed a sort of a mysticism that they wanted to display in their art. And some final thoughts to wrap up. So, as we discussed, this piece just shows us how religion can unite cultures and bring different cultures together through all different parts of Asia. Those pearls literally went through all parts of Asia and just, yeah, it's crazy how these cultures came together because of a common religion. And it also shows the Indianization of the Northern Key, right? So while the Northern Key are all the way in Eastern China, they're having heavy influence from India, which is very interesting. And yeah, thank you for listening to my presentation, guys.